Cool. So I think we are live now. So good evening, everyone. Hi, welcome to another episode of WeSkill Live. I hope all of you are staying safe at home without troubling your parents. And in today's episode of WeSkill Live, we are very proud to have Shivangi ma'am, who's going to be, who's who's got a lot of experience with children, who's an emotional coach. But we'll come to her in a bit. A little bit about WeSkill for those of you who don't know. WeSkill is a live online extracurricular learning platform focusing on children from the age group of 4 to 13. My name is Shaurya. I'm the co-founder of WeSkill, and I will be the host for today's session. Today, in today's session, we have Shivangi ma'am, who is an emotions coach. She's been doing this for over 10 years and actually has held hundreds of workshops. And she's also the co-founder of Otlo, which is a child and parenting development platform. She's also a blogger. She's a mom of 2 children. And in her free time, as we were just talking about it, how she loves having chai. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and for taking out yours and for sharing these kind of knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Shaurya, for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. So after the very long introduction, just want to know, for those people who have just joined in, if you could just tell us a little bit about your experience and the kind of work that you've done.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a life skills coach and an emotions coach. And I think in today's environment, the child is at the center of a triangle, which is the parent, the teachers, and the society. And we have sort of made it very cumbersome for the child, because every adult who approaches a child carries some baggage or the other. And therefore, Otlo was a very humble attempt to basically make a child's life emotionally lighter. So, yeah.
Wow. That sounds very interesting. And just diving a little bit about Otlo and the kind of learnings that you had with it, right? I mean, what are the kinds of requirements, I mean, especially learning requirements that you've seen children kind of require, and or parents kind of have problems understanding about the children? So what are kind of other learning requirements per se, if you could talk about?
Yeah. So I'll answer the first part of your question about Otlo. I just learned that you have been in Ahmedabad for your education, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you must have caught on to some Gujarati. So I'm a Gujarati.
Saras.
Bahut saras. So I'm a Gujarati too. And in the Gujarati language, the place outside the home, the veranda, is called an Otlo.
Oh, wow.
So Otlo is that place where in the evenings, uncles tinker with their scooters, aunties touch vegetables, and they share their life stories with their neighbors, children play. So the idea behind Otlo is that while it is a great idea to go out, connect, meet with people, explore, experiment, दिन का एक टाइम ऐसा होना चाहिए when you come back, when you internalize, when you sit with whatever has happened during the day, and you process the icky, mucky feelings, and that over a period of time with practice leads to emotional brilliance. And that is Otlo's mission for every child. So that's Otlo. Coming to your second question, the learning, what should a parent look for in a child? I think I will say that for any parent, the first and probably the only to do is to be. Because we are not human doings, we are human beings, right? So what do I mean by to be? If your child comes back from school, throws the bag, and as you call him to the dining table, shuffles off to the room and slams the door. A parent who is very aware of himself and the child will probably understand that something's wrong. But a parent who probably has a meeting in the next 2 hours and has lots to finish before sundown would probably barge into the room and say, Abhi kar lo lunch, varna my domino is going to topple off. My domino is going to topple off, right? So you better line to me. So the only thing that a parent has to do is align with their child. Attune yourself to your child's needs. And what does that really mean? Transactionally कहें तो क्या मतलब क्या है? एक बार बड़ी interesting चीज हुई. I spent a bomb on creating my new garden, right? And I put in vegetable seeds, and I had put in a lot of flowering plants. And when I was talking to the gardener, I said, "Why don't you come in 3 times in the week?" I was so excited. I wanted to see the ROI. And he said, "कि मैम मैं हफ्ते में एक बार आऊँगा तो चलेगा." And I was like, "No, you must come thrice." And he said, "नहीं मैम, मुझे एक ही दिन आना है." And I said, "मुझे क्या करना है?" So he said, "मैम, आपको सिर्फ observe करना है." And that was such an aha moment. And I realized that we as parents do everything possible for our children. But वो observe करने के साथ साथ हम अपना agenda, अपना एक checklist वो attach कर देते हैं. If we can just observe very unconditionally, very non-judgmentally, then yes, life opens up for the child and for us.
Wow, I think that's something that's like so powerful, and I feel like although I'm not a parent right now, but I'm just trying to think from my parents' perspective, like how they would have like kind of been around me and would have given me the kind of space to grow. So, I mean, just in terms of that, like a lot of parents sometimes, and for their own reasons, for the kind of environment that they've been in, have certain expectations, right, from their children. And sometimes it might happen that the children may not be able to fulfill those expectations. Perhaps they have their own vision, they have their own dreams, right? How should these kind of really align with each other, and especially for children of different age groups? I mean, for example, we at WeSkill have seen a lot of parents really want their child to learn some activity which perhaps they would have always wanted to learn earlier. But sometimes children are interested in something else, especially boys. And I'll give you some very interesting insight. A lot of boys try and attend the dance sessions, but then they don't tell their parents that they've attended it because they're afraid that how they might react to it. So what kind of things should parents really do that it gives them the children the environment so that they can be open with them?
Yeah. I think this probably wasn't your game plan when you were growing up. And at such a young age, you are navigating with WeSkill with comparative ease and above average success. So yeah, I'm sure this was not part of your plan when you were a kid, right?
No.
So one piece of suggestion to the parents, extracurricular activities are just that, and it is not marriage. You don't have to live with that choice for the rest of your life, right? So it's okay for the child to experiment with 3 months of dance. And yes, it does not fit into your entire agenda. I get that. Because, okay, fair enough. I am a guilty parent as well. I would force my daughter to go for tennis classes and force my younger one to go for chess. And I'm hoping that they don't catch this video ever. But trust me, it requires a lot on the part of the child to be invested in something which is not mandatory. So after 6 or 7 hours of school, to be in front of the laptop and actively absorbing stuff related to an activity you are not interested in is pretty hard work. But if the parents can give that leeway, see, you can't really play around with school, even if it is a yoga or music class at school. I mean, your attendance matters there. But here, if any parent can give a leeway that, why not? 1 class a month or 2 classes a month, why not? That will give a child sufficient reassurance that I'm being heard, I'm being listened to. And therefore, he'll become much more reasonable to whatever you propose to him. That's how you work. That's how you negotiate with children, you see?
Yeah.
So, thoda tumhara, thoda mera. Something like that.
Yeah. No. So, just in terms of that, because I mean, one of the biggest learnings that I've had while interacting with a lot of parents, especially, is the over dependence of the kind of upbringing of the child on the school system. Like a lot of parents feel that yes, that they are sending the child to a good school, or they are investing that in the good after school activities, that their responsibility or their role in the development of the child is done. So, how have, I mean, I'm sure you must have come across such instances. So, how should really parents go about this?
Right, very interesting and a very relevant question, I must say. I will divide my entire audience into two parts. One is the typical family where the mother generally is at home with the child. The second is this urban group where both parents are working hard to make ends meet, right? So they're following their passions. I know someone, the husband has a startup which is a roaring success, and the wife is into a full time job managing operations for APAC region, and they have two children. So we have a huge variety, right? And these are the two main sections which I have identified. Now, you can fill up a child's timetable for throughout the day. But there are these tiny pockets. ये मैं आपको बहुत एक hack बता रही हूँ. There are these tiny pockets of time during the day. When you get up in the morning, when you go to sleep in the evening, at night, when the child is not in completely anchored, there is some kind of a dissonance, some kind of a disturbance. किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया, किसी ने आवाज ऊंची करके बात कर दी, किसी friend ने taunt कर दिया. There are these tiny pockets. If you can be there available just to see, to hear, and to try and understand, your job, your role rather, is fully justified. I mean, you are so bang on. You know exactly what the child is going through. So instead of sitting down to do homework at 7 p.m., if we can just have these tiny pockets, 5 minutes of time during the day, 3 or 4 meetings with the child. And it can't be a formal a Zoom meeting kind of, this has to be very cool, like, okay, let's talk. So that, what happens is कि वो जो pressure cooker है ना, वो कभी फटेगा नहीं. Whatever processing happens is generally through a conversation with the and then the parent does not have to deal with tantrums or behavioral issues. What a parent then generally can and what kind of treatment needs to be done.
Sure. No, I think what you're saying is very relevant. But so till now, what we've been focusing on is how it is, or how should they resolve it. But one question a lot of people will be asking, and I think it's coming to my mind as well, is why? I mean, why should parents be kind of resolving these kind of issues? What is the long-term impact if they don't? So if you can just talk a little about that.
Someone's really thinking. अच्छा मुझे शौरी ये बताइए, I know you are a brilliant student, right? But what about the time जब आप बिल्कुल छोटे थे और कभी पापा ने गुस्से से देख लिया, मम्मी ने जोर से आवाज लगाई, टीचर ने बेंच पे खड़ा कर दिया होगा, right? Those that's our secret, don't tell anyone. So those red marks on the answer sheets, they were red marks on our heart, है ना? आज भी हमें याद क्यों है शौर्य? हमें याद क्यों है? क्योंकि ये दिल में जाके ना कहीं बैठ गया है. So what happens whenever a child undergoes trauma of any measure, it just comes and becomes a part of his psyche. It just becomes a very dormant part of his psyche. And then when it is your time to shine, to sparkle, to move up in life, to show the world who you are, most of the time you're either in to work at your optimum best. So what happens is that play and extracurricular activities, these two blow those holes away in our psyche. आपने कभी देखा है कोई छोटा बच्चा क्रिकेट खेल के आता है, पसीना पसीना पसीना, with this huge grin on his face, you know, मम्मी बहुत भूख लगी है. What happened to the fact कि मैथ्स का होमवर्क नहीं हुआ था और मैम ने डांटा था?
Forget about it.
Processed out of the system. So you move a muscle and you change a thought, you know, and ये root से निकल जाता है problem. So that's the why. So when you're resolved, when your issues are resolved, when there's no extra baggage, that's when you can really rise up to the occasion. Whatever the situation demands, you're like, I got this, I'm going to crack this.
Oh, wow. I think this is a very interesting insight. I mean, for a lot of parents, and it just could vary from various degrees, right? Like from a very small internal issue to something very external, right? So
yeah.
Wow. I did not think in this context, but ma'am, especially the past 2 years because of COVID, there's been the physical interactions have been very limited for a lot of children at a very pivotal time of their life. How have people reacted to it, and I mean, how have children really responded to this?
So I am someone who you might call toxically optimistic. So I will only tell you what's really working. One, parents are at home. So they could really now see what are the skeletons coming out of the closet. Because abhi tak kya tha, everything was swept under the carpet and the house looked clean. But now they started noticing issues. I myself, I'm so blessed. I was crossing my daughter's room. The door was closed and I heard her sobbing. And I opened the door and I realized that she was being bullied on chat. Now, had she been in school, I'm sure she would not have discussed it because she would have probably gotten distracted by the time she would come home. It would have come at a much later stage, at a much advanced stage when doing anything about it becomes, you know, more of a reaction rather than a response. दूसरा जो मुझे लगता है बहुत बड़ा फायदा हुआ, and forgive me for going a bit spiritual, our children have learned to be in their space. Till now, there was absolutely zero control over who we meet, how we meet. हम लोगों से गले भी मिलते थे, handshake भी करते थे. Now there is a certain stepping back. So our auras are also being protected. And people who used to run away from home because they could not handle the toxic environment, everybody has now started working on it. Mental health has just, you know, sort of zoomed up as the number one issue. Why? Because we're all stuck at home together. So take it from me, we all are being pushed into a space where this has changed, completely transformed our DNA on a spiritual level. And now we all have no option but to work through our baggage so that we can be one cohesive unit, you know, so that we can really enjoy this time together.
I think, ma'am, you should write something. You should write a book or something, because what you're saying is just in such few words, you are conveying so important thoughts, which really need to be discussed and need to be thought about. I think even after today's session, I'll spend a lot of time thinking about the kind of words, what you said, because it is actually very good. So, but moving from the why, we should also understand that what should also be looked at, right? I mean, it's not just the emotional, like what are the problems that some of the children really face that kind of, which could actually impact them. And so we had one session earlier wherein we spoke about these kind of conflicts that happen between the parents and the children. What I would really like to understand from you is how to express those conflicts. I mean, a lot of time children just don't know how to. So it usually either comes out in some passive aggressive form or just in some different form. So expression itself is something, and it could just be because of the environment where it's not been expressed so well, or just could be what for whatever reason. So if you could just talk a little bit about expression, how to enable that expression of a child.
Wow, what a question again. All right, interesting, very interesting. Now, suppose, so parenting has been in vogue for 15,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still don't have a mechanism, we don't have an organized framework.
Yeah.
You know, parenting is something which you basically learn from your own parents, hands on.
Yeah.
So our generation is now, very activated, reading up on the internet,
Yeah.
and you have a million theories on how to raise your children, right?
Yeah.
And basically, it is all hit and trial. So, and another factor, very important, which we conveniently adults we forget, is that children are very low on impulse control. Right? आपने मुझे गुस्सा किया, मेरी आंख में आंसू आ जाएंगे. लेकिन ऑफिस जाके तो ऐसा नहीं होता ना. ऑफिस जाके बॉस ऐसा करता है तो बोलते हैं अच्छा ठीक है मंडे को देखेंगे. Right? So with children, expression becomes vital because otherwise the toxicity just keeps on building. So, well, in an ideal scenario, I would love it if a child could exercise daily. The sweat actually toxins within.
Yeah.
If the child would chant daily, and if the child could journal daily. What happens is, this ensures that you process all your emotions in a very healthy way. And the best part about this is that a parent can always have a gentle eye over what's really going on with the child. So yeah, in an ideal scenario, why not?
I think
so. All 5-year-olds start meditating.
Yeah, I think even I should start doing these things. No, but
Wow.
ma'am, so this is a conversation I've had with a lot of parents on our platform, right? Just to get their perspective on parenting, because a lot of, I mean, our basic objective with WeSkill was to provide a good environment in which children can really develop, right? By developing their skills. But a lot of times, even parents don't know what to provide, right? So I spoke to a lot of parents from different parts of the country on their views on parenting assistance.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were actually very reserved about it. That it's my child. कोई और कैसे बता सकता है कि मुझे अपने बच्चे को कैसे how should my child be doing? So just if you could share your views on this.
It's personal, no doubt about it. And even I'm of the opinion that nobody can read a child as much as a parent can.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, these are my personal opinions, but unfortunately, in India, the parent is treated as a customer. Right from the tiny chocolates to parenting programs, we sell day and night to the parent. And what are we playing on? The insecurity. So naturally, the Indian parent is now highly reluctant, and there are certain instances where parents have been scorched. They've had experiences that they'd rather not have.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, now the child has become very personal. The situation is now too close to heart, right?
Yeah.
So to tell a parent upfront that this is what you need for your child is suicide. So let's not even go there.
Yeah.
But if we can empower a parent to observe the child, and if we can give options to the parent, and if we can give that space to the parent and the child, why don't you try? And then going forward, if their child and the parent are aligned, and if they can choose a mutual, a very mutually compatible solution to it, then it will be long term.
Yeah.
It will be a long term decision. So yes, I completely get what you're saying, and I think this is a reasonable way to sort of dig in.
Yeah. Cool. No, I think, ma'am, I do understand that parenting is a very personal choice, but I also feel that sometimes parents themselves are very misled by just their own insecurities, for the lack of a better word. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was talking to one parent who had a 2.5-year-old daughter, and she wanted her to learn coding. And I was like, can she speak any language, irrespective of a coding language? So Indian parents themselves are very, and it's not that they have any spite in their heart. It's just that they want their children to do so well that they look for alternate means, I would say, through
Yeah.
which like they can like provide the best for the best environment, best services, whatever the best for their child.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes what they think is the best is actually not the best for their child, right?
Yeah. So if you can just dig deep, if you
Yeah,
can just imagine the level of fear,
yeah,
it's like that, universal Sharma ji ka beta aage na nikal jaye, hai na?
yeah,
So yeah, the fear is and unfortunately, many parents do give in to these fears,
yeah,
and then it becomes a journey for the parent, and the child has to tag along.
yeah,
And then probably on one fine day they realize all this doing, all this hustle and bustle behind the child has not yielded much, and what we are left with is a very angry, upset child who you
yeah,
did not allow to fly when he wanted to. And therefore, then you get back into the process of discovering what your role is as a parent. So probably by that time you've lost that connect with the child. But yeah,
yeah,
I think this is a learning. And and I again toxically optimistic. So there are two ways to the top of the mountain.
yeah,
You can take a straight route up. So be that cool parent who's okay with what the child is doing as long as
yeah,
certain boundaries are maintained. Or
yeah,
you can take a long roundabout route where you tell the child, okay, do this. And the
yeah,
child says, no way. And then you fight. And then probably one of you wins, the other leaves the house. And then another, again, after 5-7 years, you get together, probably on a hospital bed. And then you try
yeah,
and make up. And then you try and dig deeper. Ki hua kya tha? Why this so much of resentment? Why the anger? And then that process. So ultimately, every parent and every child, the partnership is so divine that there will be a certain divine alignment. Yet at the same time, some parents take time and the
yeah,
others are smart. They move up the ladder quickly.
yeah, yeah. I think through these live sessions, I've learned so much that the day I become a parent, hopefully, I would have already got so much learning. So,
I'm sure.
but on that, I think we've had it was a very serious discussion till now. So just in terms of, ma'am, you've been speaking about how expression and how doing something out of the normal routine, so like something like extracurricular sports, something very muscle involving, really helps in that kind of development. So can you talk about certain examples where you've seen it work? I mean, of instances where people, so that people can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you something very beautiful. There was this young girl who came to me for a workshop, and in a group of 25, we were painting, and I had put newspapers all over, and they were allowed to do whatever they wanted with the paint. There was
Yeah.
no structure, there was no agenda, there was nothing to be taken as a takeaway for the parent to see and go, wow.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no objective. And this little girl, she kept on telling me, मेरी मम्मी होती ना तो इतना गंदा नहीं करने देती. आप तो करने दे रहे हो. And थोड़ी देर के बाद, देखो देखो वो color waste कर रहा है. I said, let him do it. थोड़ी देर के बाद, so constantly, like the adult she was emulating, her pain at seeing chaos. She could not tolerate chaos.
Yeah.
And then, I think 1.5 hours later, when reluctantly all the children had to leave, she goes and she turns back and says, "Can I come tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yes, this is what I wanted." So every child innately finds themselves while they are painting, they are doing origami, they are doing needling, they are doing clay making. It's just them and what their activity is. So the subject becomes the object. And what else is meditation if not that? When you are in you, completely present, very, very watchful, the world sort of blurs over. And it is just you and the persons in front of you or the activity that you're doing and nothing else. So that's a very beautiful stage for a child to experience. So yeah.
I think I should just record what you just said and tell it to other parents, because I think you put it so well, that whole the connection, which is true. I mean, we've seen children like I mean, there's one instance of a child who joined us and he had certain kind of ADHD, mild ADHD, and when during singing and during the riyas for the singing, he started showing his condition started improving, and the parent was very touched by the whole experience. So then she got her other two children also to sign on to the platform. So we've seen instances of children who have felt better, at least doing some activity. But the problem is that a lot of people don't get that kind of opportunity, and especially in the age of online education now, opportunity is a big thing. I mean, a lot of people just don't get that. So when I mean, as final thoughts, what is your view in this? Like, how should educators uh, kind of have that emotional connect with the students in a non-physical environment? Because that is also something very important. Not just the parents, but I feel even the teachers, instructors, educators, they should also have the same kind of connect with the children, so that the children feel it's a safe space for them to learn. So just certain tips on how should the educators be a lot more cognizant of the requirements of children.
You saved the toughest one for the last. All right, I'll admit. This is probably the hardest 2 years which any educator might have undergone, right? What has happened is, as far as education is concerned, pure education, we have literally dragged the classroom onto the online format. So it's like, "Bachcho, page number 60 pe hum ye padhen." And half the classroom is either into Superman or Avengers or probably chatting with somebody on the group. And the poor educator is trying their level best with maximum integrity to sort of collate the group, bring them together, and keep the progress one step at a time. Yeah, one day at a time. Hats off to them. Hats off to them. I was. I love observing, and this is a brilliant window for me to observe what happens. So I would often quietly, from the back, observe my daughter. And one day she was in this social science class, and the teacher says page 106, and one child says, "Ma'am, kaun sa page number?" And then another one, "Ma'am, kaun sa page number?" And the teacher's just replied, and then there's another one, "Ma'am, kaun sa page number?" And with 200% peace of mind, she says, "Page 106, page 106, page," and I said, "My God, shoot them now." But the teacher is so calm and so collected. Hats off to educators like her. This is something which a child may not understand now. But when they grow up, just the way we reflect on our teachers, and trust me, it comes with a space of compassion. Jo bhi tha, apna best kiya. Similarly, our children will have a newfound respect for their teachers after a few years, when they will realize, "Oh my God, what did we put our teachers through?" Because of the situation, of course, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do you create that connect? For that, the first thing is that the educator has to do a lot of inner work.
Yeah.
That was true in the physical space also, but
Yeah.
now in the online space with the issues of with technical issues and with the issues of engaging so many children at the same time. Yeah. Then the curriculum,
Yeah.
making the curriculum interesting. Overnight, the teachers have come up with such engaging, interesting videos,
Yeah.
games, stuff that you might not find on Google even.
Yeah.
So ingenuous, right? But more than that, and I think I'll end with this. I have noticed that every educator has an eye on every child.
Yeah.
Whether she expresses it, verbalizes or not is a different issue. And when once in a while, say once in a month, if an educator can have a one on one time with a single student, that child will feel seen, heard, and understood. And that's when the real blossoming happens.
Yeah. I think I'm also making notes of what we should be doing because no,
That
and
will work because
I
if
completely
a child
agree. Yeah.
wants to talk and there's some who are very extrovert, so
Yeah.
they want to keep talking for the entire
Yeah.
40-minute
Yeah.
period,
Yeah.
and some who are very quiet. If you ask me a question, I might answer, but if you don't, I'm
Yeah.
okay to pass. So for the educator to really wean out the ones who've been very non-communicative and
Hmm.
get them to open up, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think we've also faced instances where children don't want the session to end. They just want to talk to the instructor. It's not that they want to learn anything, just want to have a conversation because they've been lack of these kind of opportunities for them otherwise. But I think this has been a wonderful session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out the time. I've actually got a one page of notes which I'm going to now discuss with our team and how as to how we should be improving the experience for children who are on our platform. But any final words that you have for parents and anyone listening to this?
So one thing, honestly speaking, what you have done and the time frame in which you've set up this entire WeSkill as a platform is noteworthy because you have tapped a gap, which that empty space which every child was going through, right?
Yeah.
There was no school probably, and children were at home waiting for constructive activity, and parents were going haywire. So you've come in at the right time. So kudos for that. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Second thing is that this is now the new normal.
Yeah.
Even if we go back to the physical space, the connect that you make with the children online has a very strong overreaching impact.
Yeah.
Before you know it, friends will be talking to their friends because news travels fast with
Yeah.
children. And I'm sure that this is going to turn out to be very successful in the coming years. And I can sense the passion behind the team. The way I received a call from you, the respect which I've been shown, the way you are so obsessed with making a child's life happy and light and productive. This all has all the makings of a successful enterprise. So yeah, you're well on your way, and I wish you and your team all the very best.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for these kind words. This has just come out of blue. Didn't expect that, but I feel a
Trust me,
bit
you're doing
embarrassed.
good.
I feel a bit embarrassed here, but
No, you're
you
good.
know,
You're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So, but thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you to the listeners who's been around. We'll be putting ma'am's details if anyone wants to reach out to her and understand a little bit more about the children's development and or just have any queries. I think ma'am is a wonderful person to connect with. We'll put her details in the description of this episode, and we'll come back again next week learning about parenting and childcare with another expert. And we through this series, we are trying to answer the questions that a lot of parents have been asking us about their child's development. And we felt that perhaps we were not the best equipped to answer those questions. So we thought, let's get those people who are. And these conversations are just extremely insightful for us, and we hope to learn a lot from this. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Stay safe and wash your hands, everyone. Bye.
Bye.